Rise and shine, and welcome to another episode of Life Talks with your girl, Nina Marie. I am your unity in the community kind of chick. And I gotta be honest, y'all, I'm still on a wave from homecoming. Shouts out to the Grambling State University for an amazing homecoming weekend, you all. Everybody was safe for the most part, and I'm grateful for that. And we definitely had a ball. If you missed homecoming this year, you missed a treat, but that's okay because the Bayou Classic is coming up. And if you're interested in the Bayou Classic, I want to make sure that you are following me on my social media platforms because, right, your girl is a travel agent too. So I want to make sure that if you're interested in joining the Bayou Classic, you can definitely roll with us. We are going to be heading up to the Bayou Classic, so make sure that you're following me on my social media platforms, whether it is on Facebook, Nina Marie, whether it is on Instagram, real_Nina Marie, or you might be catching your girl on TikTok because I am doing some on my TikTok these days, okay? So you can find me on TikTok as well under Real Nina Marie. So make sure you are reaching out because we got a couple of things coming up. I told you all that Life Talks is just that. We're going to come to the table and we're going to have some real conversations talking about real situations, dealing with real life, okay? But not just all of that, but we're also going to be giving you some tools that you can use, whether it is on campus as well as off campus. So, Entity Travels International, we have some upcoming things coming up for sure, you all. Actually, this weekend, yes, this upcoming weekend, we are going to Urban Camp Weekend. So there are a few more spots available for that. Actually, if you're interested, the early bird is already gone. Early bird is gone. But if you say that you found or heard more about this on KGRM, make sure you tell me that you heard it first on KGRM because I've been wanting to mention this to you all for quite some time. I just hadn't yet because I've been just getting acclimated into the show. So I'm been negligent in regards to that. But coming out of homecoming weekend, I know you still vibing. I know you still feeling the energy. So I do want to make sure that if you want to be with us this upcoming weekend, October 16th, through the 19th for the early birds, but also October 17th through the 19th, we're going to be doing Urban Camp Weekend in East Texas. Again, there are some spots left, so if you are interested, make sure that you shoot me a DM on either of my social media platforms. As I mentioned, Nina Marie on Facebook, Instagram, real_Nina Marie, or TikTok under Real Nina Marie. Make sure you reach out and put KGRM in the chat, and I'll make sure that you qualify for the early bird special just because I can do that, right? But we are excited about today's show. And I say we because the studio audience is here as well. And I am going to be looking forward to having some guests on next week as well. So y'all, it's a lot of things going on, but let me just recap real quick, right? So first show, we talked about a little bit about who I am. If you have not gotten your book yet, what are you waiting on? The journey and the faith it took to get there. You can find that on Amazon. You can definitely look at the workbook, which is the process on Amazon as well. But that gives you a little bit more of an overview as to who I am. So I kicked off week one with a background so that you'll know who you're listening to and what, I guess I would say, what role or what validates me to be able to speak from the perspective of this arena that I talk from in Life Talks. So if you have not gotten your book, make sure you go to Amazon to get The Journey and the Faith It Took to Get There, and the workbook, The Process. Second week, you all, I hope you enjoyed that show because September was National Suicide Month, okay? Yes, it was. Shouts out to all the families out there that has lost a loved one due to death by suicide. But last week's show was simply giving you some resources around what does that look like, not just for your own life, but how to recognize and view signs of those around you. So that's what last week's show was about. Now, again, if you missed it, don't worry. Follow me on my social media platforms. You'll begin to see my actual podcast link within this next week. The team is finalizing that for me now. So you'll be able to see that, but you want to make sure that you tune in. You may even want to take the link and share it with somebody that you know may be struggling with that, because this was exactly what this platform was put in place for, was to talk about tools that we can use, resources. Again, we're having real conversations, talking about real life, dealing with real situations. So that is exactly what Life Talks is to be put in a place and in a position that we can have these type of conversations. So that's what last week's show is about. Now, this week, y'all, this show was for me this week, okay? Like when I tell you all, again, we're coming out of homecoming, but you know when it's about homecoming time, you all, guess what else comes, okay? Midterms. Yes, midterms, y'all. I promise you, I always say I'm like granny on campus already, okay? I'm only like almost 50 out here. So I'm like granny on campus, okay? So going away to Africa, I'll talk about my trip to Africa soon. Actually, I'll talk a little bit about it next week, Lord willing, because we'll have some students joining me, my cohorts from the School of Social Work. We'll have the president over the MSW organization. And so I am super excited to be having her come in, because we'll be talking about why social work and what it is that intrigues us the most about the profession, and how it is that we are put in place to be of assistance to others, right? So I'll be having Starkesia on with me on next week, Lord willing. And so I'm excited about that show because, y'all, this week, this show, let me just tell you, your girl almost didn't make it, okay? I almost did not make it through this week at all. Like when I tell you all, I literally thought that this week that we just came out of was the end of my higher ed career or education, if you will, simply because you all, I was playing catch up in a major way. Had a privilege of going into Africa to explore social work abroad, and I'll actually have some pictures next week as well. And if you're listening on the station, you got to make sure that you tune in to the link when you see it, because you get an opportunity to explore the video side of it as well, of Life Talk. So had a privilege of going into Africa, Uganda specifically, and being in Africa, I was not able, my bandwidth did not allow me to be great to do all of my schoolwork while I was away. And so I have been literally playing catch up, and I feel like I have done probably about 50 hours of schoolwork in this last 8 days. But it's a cost, right? It's a cost to go after your dreams and your goals. So today's show, I wanted to talk more about what do you want, right? I think that that is so fitting for this time and in this space and in this place of your life, wherever you are in your career, wherever you are in your journey, wherever you are as a student, wherever you are as a professional. It was just so fitting because, y'all, I could only talk about my life. So let me just tell you all, this week and this last couple of weeks has been lifing to the utmost. And I thought it was just so fitting because I know I'm not in this by myself. Like, so many of us just came out of, literally just came out of midterms. Homecoming, like we were so excited to get to homecoming because the week and weeks before was so challenging just to make sure that we were finishing assignments on time and doing our best. So I know for me, you all, All of this, I'm so here for. Homecoming, I was so here for. And so I wanted to just take a moment, as I mentioned, to talk about what does that look like right now. We're going to be talking about it from a social worker's perspective, and you'll always hear me bring that sense to the table, simply because I'm a firm believer that you cannot become the best version of yourself until you realize, or at least until you explore, where your areas are that may be deficit, or where are your areas now that may be or may need to be strengthened. So let me just tell y'all, going out into or preparing for midterms this week, I also had some other assignments that was just literally pressing. And your girl done did a whole 24 hours, okay? Like as of right now, okay, Monday, I have not slept since I woke up for church on Sunday, okay? And only because I understood that there were some things that I had to get done, and I didn't expect for it to take me that long, but I told y'all I'm granny on campus, so it took me a lot longer than I anticipated, right? So let me just tell y'all, I told y'all that your girl just almost didn't make it. I did. I thought for sure that this is the last class. This is definitely the end of my graduate studies. Like, I just didn't have it in me. I'm talking about, y'all, I'm at my mama's house with tears with my good grown self, okay? Now, let me just also say this disclaimer. You're going to always understand that when you come on Life Talks, we're real for a reason, okay? Real conversations, real life with real situations, okay? So I'm sitting at mama's table, y'all, and bless her heart, and dad too, because they like, you got what you need? And I'm like, yeah, and I'm talking about, y'all, I'm ready to just faint, simply because I'm granny. I got to keep saying that. I'm granny on campus, so I ain't like these little whippersnappers around here. I'm doing everything that I can to stay above water, okay? So I was so discouraged, you all, and I knew that this was it. And so as I was preparing to come in class, I was driving up 20, of course, from Shreveport, and I saw a sign that said, "Need fuel?" And all I can think about at that time was like, yes, I do. Not just any old fuel, but I need sleep, for one. I also was thinking like, I'm so grateful because I'm scheduling my life, and I'm a firm believer also of regular stillaways, regular retreats. And so I already got on my book when I'm doing my retreat, Lord willing, for this quarter, the last quarter of the year. I don't know about y'all, but I cannot believe it's the last quarter of the year. It is. So I've already gotten my retreat scheduled for the year, for the last part of the year, but I'm thinking to myself like, I need this fuel. But I also looked at the fuel that I get from just the things that I choose to enjoy. So self-care. That is something that I've talked about, and you'll often always hear me talk about self-care as well. The first show I talked about my 5 F's, which is my faith, my family, my fitness, my finances, and a whole lot of fun. I'm gonna say it again, because I think you need to have something that you govern your life by. Your life may be governed by 5 P's, purpose, pursuit, whatever, right? Mine just happens to be governed by my 5 F's, which is my faith, my family, my fitness, my finances, and a whole lot of fun. So in those 5 F's, I'm lacking in some areas that it keeps me grounded and it keeps me rooted to know like, oh, I ain't did this in a minute, or I hadn't did that in a minute. So one of my self-care, my fun areas is I love to go to the gun range. I just love to be able to go and learn, target practice. And so I had a privilege of being able to go to the range recently. And so self-care is so important, especially when you're feeling like you're depleted. So as I'm coming in, y'all, I see this need fuel. So I'm thinking like, yes, I need fuel I need sleep right now. I can't wait to still away and get in my quiet time, my devotional. So I knew for my faith, I can't wait to fuel up there. My family, I was thinking about my daughter, who's also going to be out of school next week for winter break. Or no, it's fall break. And so I was thinking like, after class on Mondays, I normally just kind of chill Tuesdays. But I said no, because she's on break. I got to schedule my family time in here. Then I thought about my fitness, y'all. I have been slipping. I have not gotten back to working out since I've been back stateside. So my fitness is so important. I'm working on some things financially, but my fun and my self-care, that is so important, as well as all of the 5 F's. So I went to do some self-care. And so when you think about the fuel that you need, I want you to just ask yourself that question. Do you need fuel? And if so, what charges your fuel box? What type of gasoline can you pour on your fire that will help you reignite what it is that you may be feeling depleted on right now? So, do you need fuel is the $1 trillion question. I love $1 million and $1 trillion questions because they are very expensive and they cost a lot, but they cost even more if you don't answer them. So where do you need to be refueled? So as I was thinking about that, I was also reminded I was going into my internship this last week, and I see, you know how you're approaching a light, and I pay attention, y'all, to everything. So I'm approaching this light, nobody's around me, and it's so ironic that I see this thing, y'all, like it was literally like just going so fast across the street, but they were already up on the grass and like going to this bush. And when I zoned in, I was like, is that a turtle? Y'all, when I tell you that I have never seen a turtle move like that. Like this turtle, you knew that this turtle was getting to this bush to save his life. Like he or she had made it across that street, and literally you can tell like this was like him diving for rescue. And when I looked at this turtle, y'all, of course, everything in my mind, it's always a teaching tool or it's always a lesson for me. And so when I seen this turtle, y'all, might I add again that I have never seen turtles move this fast. The only thing I thought about at the time was looking at the state and the place that we are in and the urgency. I don't know about y'all, but do y'all feel that urgency? It's a sense of urgency right now. And that urgency can be it really can just be about you. That urgency could be simply about you understanding that maybe you're playing too small and there's some things that you got to do or you need to give up or places that you got to go or places that you need to stop going. Like whatever that sense of urgency is, I don't know if you feel it, but it has literally been swarming. Because my friends has been talking about it, like it's been a whole conversation about the sense of urgency. Understanding that life is short. So no matter where you've been, it's all about where's your intentionality about where you're planning on going. So that urgency, y'all, when I seen this turtle almost sprinting across the street, I was like, I ain't even gonna lie. I was literally amazed. But that's the season that we're in. So take a moment. I want to just take a moment to have you reflect on what areas do you feel like you need to be refueled in? What are the people around you that helps add fuel to your fire? What are people or who are the people around you that every time you see them coming, you can't wait to see them going? What and who fuels you, and who or what takes fuel away from you? Those are $1 trillion questions that you got to ask yourself, because did I say life is short? And life is so short that you don't have time, and I say you meaning we don't have time to be playing with nobody, and I sure hope you don't have time to be playing with nobody either. So what is it And who is it that is fueling your fire right now? We're almost at the end of the semester. Holiday season is coming. Last quarter of the year, because there was some stuff that you set up. You know, some people call them resolutions. I call them resolives. Yeah, I call them resolives because if you were going to really do it, you probably would have did it before a certain date. So, and even though dates and fresh starts give us an opportunity to do just that, a new start or to start a habit. You know, they say it takes 21 days to develop a habit. So whatever the situation is, the $1 trillion question is who or what is fueling your fire? What is it that you set on your goals to do for 2025 that now you're looking up and you're saying, is it already October? Because I haven't done this or that. What is it that you're needing to be fueled on right now? And as I was even thinking about that, you all too, I was thinking about that turtle, and I was thinking to myself, because y'all, I feel like more meetings at times with myself as I'm processing through life. You know, self-evaluations is imperative, because if you learn to check yourself, not many other people will have to. If you can learn to do self-evaluations on your own life, to do not a sense of condemnation, not a sense of, you know, being down on yourself, but looking at areas of improvement, areas that, you know what, you can high-five yourself like, girl, you did that. Homeboy, did you just cut up like whatever areas it is that you can also encourage yourself, because again, like I said, if you learn to check you, you won't have to have many to any others checking you, right? So as I was thinking about this turtle and I was looking at him or her cross that line, I was thinking to myself how important it is for us to be able to really heal out loud. Oftentimes, especially when we're coming out of, you know, National Suicide Month, and having, you know, known a couple of people myself that has struggled with mental illness, or even just the lack of individuals around you that encourages you, a lack of support, a lack of encouragement, a lack of somebody that's challenging you to become the best version of yourself, because you'll hear me say this often as well. We don't get 9 lives out here. We're not no cats, we get one. And so how we choose to use that one that we get is a $1 trillion question. So when you think about the areas of our lives that need to be healed, or areas of our lives that need to be explored in a way that helps us navigate through this journey we call life, it's so imperative and it's important for us to just step back and to be able to look and to observe, what is it that we really want out here? Not the things that our mom and them want for us, and we love our parents. Not the things that granny and them want, because we love our grannies too. Definitely not the things that your homeboy and your homegirl say that you should do or shouldn't be doing. But what is it that we really want for ourselves? And being able to identify that. That's so important. So being able to heal out loud, breaking the silence of struggle. I got my computer right here. And one of the least used buttons on a computer is help. That's the least used button. You know, we gonna YouTube some, we gonna figure it out, we gonna do whatever we gotta do versus just hitting that button, help. Going directly to the manufacturer who created this machine that can so easily tell me. Because I know for me, I'll be watching, like, if I'm even watching, about 3 YouTube channels before I figure it out, because this one didn't say it quite the way I could understand it, like whatever it is. But being able to really know what you want out here, especially as you prepare to finish this year. Again, what did you have on your vision board this year? What resolutions did you set for yourself this year? What relationships did you set out to strengthen this year? What relationships did you know going into 2025 that was never supposed to make it into 2025 with you? What relationships were you supposed to let go of? What places were you supposed to go? What people were you supposed to see? What things were you supposed to do this year? That's the question that I'm posing to you all. That's the $1 million question. That's the $1 trillion question, because what is it that you really want this year? And so I'm throwing that out to you all because, as I mentioned, it's so important to heal for real and to break the silence of struggle. I don't know about you or what you're experiencing, but you got my social media platform. Sometimes people just need somebody to talk to. I would literally love to even do like a Dear Nina section, okay, to where I can get some emails. I don't know, y'all might be too young to remember Dear Abby. My boy Steve Harvey, shouts out to Steve. I had a privilege of graduating from his business institute. I love the strawberry letters. So I kind of want to do something like a, Dear Nina type of thing. But you have my social media platforms, reach out to me. Because oftentimes we simply need an ear. We need an ear, we need encouragement, we need some support. We need somebody that can say, you got this, girl. You're doing a great job, homeboy. Because oftentimes that's the very thing that we're missing. So to be able to heal out loud and breaking the silence of struggle and knowing that life was never meant for us to be loners. People say, oh, it's my fault and no more. That is not a concept that you really want to adopt, because you never know when you may need somebody. So being able to be that vehicle or that vessel or just that person that say, you good today? I see, you ain't yourself today. Like whatever it is, but are you so consumed with you that you're not even paying attention to the things that's around you? So one of the notes that I wrote down, y'all, was the power of the pause. The power of the pause. Sometimes we're so busy that we don't even know who we are because we right here. Ooh, baby, we so busy. We so busy right here. And that's the whole mission, is to get us so distracted that you can pull up your social media and tell me everything about Carly B and Nicki Minaj, everything about them. But when I say, well, what you like? What's your favorite things to do? It's amazing to me. And I've worked with youth and young adults for almost 30 years, and that narrative has not changed. So it's not just today's generation, it's people. I know 60, 70-year-old people that don't know who they are. Including, I'm going to raise my hand because I'm still learning me at 40 plus. I'm still learning me. So what is it that you want? And do you have the power to pause to reflect on that? It says, when you have the power to pause, you're able to rest. And once you begin to rest, during your resting time, reflections begin to take place. And once you rest and you begin to reflect, then you can have a perfect reset. I hosted a women's event, and it's definitely loading up in 2026, called The Power of the Reset, a perfect reset. Because there is nothing like being able to just steal away. Y'all, I'm telling you again, coming out of homecoming, leading from midterms, you talking about that reset? I almost just didn't make it. But I understand the power of the pause. So being able to know that this is not just something that's optional, this should be a non-negotiable. You should have different times and in different places and spaces in your life, whether that's once a week, whether that's once a day. If you're married, it definitely need to be once a month. If you boot up, life is such about being intentional. And a lot of times, speaking on marriage, y'all, because and you don't know, that's my heart. That's my passion, is relationships. I've been doing youth and young adults. I always describe it like this, you all. I've been doing youth and young adults for 30 years almost. But my ministry and my passion is marriages. And so oftentimes you will hear people saying, this is in friendships, this is in boo things, like whatever it is. Anything that you neglect will eventually die. So when you hear people say, well, I ask, well, why did y'all get a divorce? They'll say, oh, we just grew apart. Oh, okay. Oh, got you. Y'all just wasn't intentional about growing together. So then you look up 10, 15 years, 5 years, 2 years, 2 months later, and you done, the vows that you done just put together, none of that means anything because y'all grew apart. So being intentional about who you are, because, and my pastor mentioned it on Sunday, she said, you can't get two 50-50 people and think you're going to have a whole relationship. Relationships is 100-100. And again, y'all, when you hear me talk about relationships, marriage and boo things is my ministry, but I'm talking about all relationships. Your relationship with your friends is 100-100. Your relationship with your parents, if you have children, your relationship with your children. And I often tell my own children, most relationships are worth letting go. Most relationships are worth letting go, while some of them are worth saving. And you just have to decipher which ones are worth saving. And as you decipher which ones are worth saving, you have to ask yourself key questions. Does this person give 100 or does this person give 30%? Is this person applying everything that he or she got to me? Because if I'm not applying everything that I got to him or her, and that's again in your kids' relationships, your parental relationships, your relationships with your supervisor, again, your relationships with your road dogs. I was just talking to my bestie. Shouts out to Brandy in Flint, Michigan. I was just talking to my bestie, and she's been my bestie since I was 12 years old. For sure, 12 years old. Because relationships require work. So who are you and what do you really want out here? And how does that all come together? Because people be out here in these relationships with anybody and they don't even know who they are. So if I know that you're not really going to apply everything that you got to the development of you, it's really ignorant for me to think that you're going to come in here and give me everything that you got. And that especially applies to a significant other relationship. My cousin, shouts out to my cousin, Tanitra. She's here from Atlanta in old Shreveport, Louisiana, getting her southern feet wet, and I was just talking to my cousin about just the harder relationships. And again, we're just talking everyday type relationships. And she looks and she say, yeah, cause you go hard for people that's in your world. And that's the reality. I really do. So I want to make sure that you understand the importance of self-care, because if you're not good for you, you're not going to be good for anybody. So know who you are and know what you want out here so that somebody else can't come and offer you something that is outside of the scope of what you know that you're worth. So make sure y'all are following me. That's it for today, y'all. Make sure you follow me on my social media platforms because, again, I want to see your face in the place next week, same time, same place, KGRM, to where we will have life talks with yours truly, your unity in the community kind of chick, having real conversations around real life, dealing with real situations. We got some guests next week too, y'all. So looking forward to seeing you and having an amazing week. Peace.